Hello, good evening. Tonight I'm going to talk about the misconceptions about Militaria antique collecting. A lot of people are very ignorant as to what it is. It has its own specialized fields. And what I mean by that is you can collect military antiques, and that doesn't mean you're a jarhead, you're a army dropout, or any of those things. It's like when I described my affinity for collecting hockey jerseys, that doesn't mean I know every statistical piece of information that has happened in the National Hockey League. I specialized in collecting jerseys. That was my thing because I thought they looked cool. Um, I did want to point that out there that I do not collect edged weapons. I have made a video about that before. There's no real reason why I should be collecting them right now. There's plenty of other very interesting things to have that have their own merits, and they're actually going to accumulate in value, which is sort of the best types of collections you should try to go for. Um, and this total misconception that if you collect military antiques, that means you're involved in every aspect of the military. That's stupid. Okay, yes, there will be military antique collectors who do specialize in other fields having to pertain to the military. I am not one of those individuals. I like antiques. Uh, and, you do have to point this out to people because there's a lot of subjects out there that people don't understand, and it creates a society where people don't talk about anything. And okay, military antiques isn't exactly the easiest thing to talk about, but they don't talk about other things because the amount of explanations that have to go into it, and it could be anything, a different hobby, your schooling, at university when you have to learn all the scientific stuff, or whatever courses you're taking, and it would just take too long to explain to a normal person and they wouldn't get it anyway. Those are understandable reasons. However, you know we should try to move forward in this day and age to a society where you can be who you are, and if you're not causing anybody any trouble, then no trouble will come to you. Ideally, we'd live in that, if we lived in a perfect world, anyway. Um, I mean, with military antiques, um, there are many, many things that, they are wartime because it's militaria. However, they're very inanimate. I mean, sure, you can draw patriotism from them. Um, you can feel, proud that you have something that's cool looking, at least, if that's your only opinion of it. I think they have their merits anyway. There'll be people going, "Oh, stolen valor," and it's like, I mostly collect German militaria, and their armies were defunct, so that's not really applicable to me. Not that I would do that anyway. I mean, I have a Purple Heart, but it stays in the box most of the time. I look at it from time to time. It never belonged to anybody, and it has no serial number on it, indicating that it never belonged to anyone. And I was getting quite a bit of flack for buying it. I bought it from a legitimate source. It wasn't stolen. I'm not going to parade around with it. I really don't see the problem, but other people, it means different things to them. Perhaps maybe because they're the kind of people who earned it in the real world. I don't know. But this particular one, they did not earn because it's in my possession. I bought it, it's mine. You can earn your one, but I have purchased mine legitimately. That's one example of where people, don't really understand certain things. And I mean, military men are, well, and women too that serve in the forces, are actually very stupid people, in my opinion. I mean, sure, they have their expertise, but as a whole, they're actually kind of stupid. So I'm not one of those type of people. I never strived to be in the military at all. I never thought about that when I was growing up, and that some people will say, well, what are you doing collecting militaria? Isn't it the same thing? And it's like, no, it's not. They're two completely different things. They're a subtopic, I guess, of the larger picture. So they probably figure, well, if you're going to expand your mind, you have to learn about all this other sort of stuff. And if you know things about not just antiquing, but that whole scenario, I know a little bit here and there, you're going to find that you don't agree with a lot of things a lot of other people have to say. I mean, you asked me about the Vietnam War, and I'll paint you a way different picture than what most people would say. It was not as black and white as people made it out to be. But we're not here to talk about that. Some people, even certain imagery really boils their blood. And it's like, yes, there's certain imagery that boils anybody's blood. And everybody has their particular things they don't like to see. That's fine. So long as you keep it to yourself and you distance yourself from individuals that are responsible for imagery that you do not like. However, that in itself is not a reason to hate. If they're not actually directly causing you any problems, and it's merely, in this case, inanimate possessions, then what is the big deal? Like, I know, I have to be concerned that, when the first woman comes around, she's going to look at my stuff and go, well, you got to get rid of it. And it's like, get out. I'm going to say that because I'm not getting rid of my stuff. And then there'll be some people who go, well, you'll never get any action unless you do it. Yeah. Probably get action the week after. Because in particular, it is women who really don't actually like that subject because they think it's negative. Meanwhile, they go and get their appliances made from slave labor, like we all do. I understand that, and I don't really respect that, but that's what it is. I understand it. They have their, beauty products that they buy, which are tested on animals, which is quite barbaric. However, if you collect militaria that's 100 years old, possibly, some of my stuff is over 100 years old. I'm not going to make a video about every single item I have, because it's really none of your business exactly what I have. I'll put up what videos I'll put up, and that's it. It was the same thing with the laying claim to fame section. It was the same thing about certain topics. I will say what I'm going to say about it, and nothing more unless somebody inquires about it and has a legitimate question or critique to make about the statements I make. In my opinion, there is absolutely nothing wrong with collecting Militaria. As I said before, it has its unique little subtopics. There are many, many different types of Militaria to collect, and they're not dangerous, and they're not problem in the right hands. Uh, I can't say that every Militaria collector has been outstanding human being, but then again, you could say that about anybody or any position. You've had librarians that were assholes. You had people working at Burger King who were cunts. What you do, as far as, certain aspects, and, if you're a bad person, those other things, maybe they influence that particular individual, but it doesn't mean it's gonna do that to everyone. It doesn't have that power. These are inanimate objects, and I know that there are a number of people who are infuriated with my collection. And it's like, who's the one who's really the problem here? Is it me minding my own business, or is it you who can't stand what I'm doing, even though what I'm doing is, well, at least in my opinion, very harmless? I mean, if it's radiating an energy that you don't like, and it's creating animosity in the minds of someone else, then, that animosity was always there. It simply, it was the red flag in front of the bull. That's all it was. And, actually, scientific note, bulls actually aren't instinctively, they don't instinctively hate red flags. They learn to hate them when the matadors, are quite cruel to those animals and teach them to hate red flags. But instinctively, when they're born, they don't hate red flags. So, this is a little interesting scientific fact there. You know, every single hobby or leisure activity or collection or whatever has had bad people that liked it and did it. And that may not have anything to do with why they're bad people. And this goes for anything, even, knitting, for example. Somebody could be a knitter and they could still be a bad person. It's who you are as a person. It's not the possessions. So yeah, I kind of wanted to clear that up because I don't think a lot of people understood. They thought that there was some resonating, desire to see a Fourth Reich or something like that. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily mean that. I don't have red shoelaces on my boots. I don't have boots, as a matter of fact. I have regular shoes. It would not be difficult to ascertain red shoelaces. It's supposed to be synonymous with skinheads, which is an offshoot of, Nazism and white supremacy and all that sort of stuff. That's their bag. What they do as people, that's them. How they evolve as people, that's entirely up to them. Whereas I have an interest in historically old elements which were used to create metals and helmets and such. I find that very interesting. It's almost like earth science, really. So, yeah, I wanted to clear that up. Yeah, gonna have a little bit of my fruit punch. And, yeah, I'll talk to you people later. Feel free to subscribe or leave a comment if you want, even if I can't see it, because YouTube is weird like that. Anyway, have a good one.